good late afternoon to everyone, and I'm sure it's not a very easy session for you, and I can see by the presence of the audience here. But let's make it interesting. So yes, from flight testing to the human space flight, as that picture is very intuitive, from the takeoff, which is horizontal, to the vertical takeoff. So that's what I did, but now that's what I intend to do accordingly. Presently, I'm a commercial astronaut candidate in, as mentioned, and also a flight test engineer. Oops, sorry. Many students have asked me. In fact, space was never my cup of tea. I never thought about it. That is the first thing first. Never, no astronaut, nothing. I did not even know the concept of an astronaut, but for Rakesh Sharma, because of him, I got the black and white TV at home because my father loved the science things, and hence, so my journey has been, so currently, of course, I am, the first one is known, the second one, I am a flight test engineer, fixed wing, both trained in India and France, flown different aircraft. I was the former scientist for DRDO and NAL, having worked on the military engine as well as the civil aircraft program. My education, so as you can see, I have 2 master's degree. Again, not design. I did what was designed was to study at Punjab Engineering College in Chandigarh. So having done my aeronautical engineering, after a few years, I realized I'm lacking a lot of knowledge, and so I started applying. So I was lucky to get 100% scholarship in Delft, and then the trajectory began. So the coursework I did in Delft and thesis in ETH Zurich in Switzerland, which was really a good takeaway. And then I came back to India, again worked in the industry, and then I thought flight testing is fun. So flying and as an engineer, converting to flying is a very exciting thing. And I can't tell you the first time I wore the overalls. So the key programs I worked, I'm giving you this very small snapshot. For many of you, this spark is there. How do I get to become an astronaut? Of course, for astronaut, anybody can become an astronaut. It's a statement I'm giving you the full consciousness because biologist, as she has rightly said, and I will also give you the diversified members of our team, how diversified they could be. Okay. And hence, everybody sitting here can be an astronaut. These are the programs I worked in, both on the civil side, military side. I was the program manager at NAL for the civil aircraft program for India. Some snippets of that journey to this. So as a flight test engineer, you do a lot of things on ground and here. I've had an opportunity to work both on the military environment as well as on the civil aircraft environment. This is on Toulouse. This is right here in Airshow, Aero India. And that was in Toulouse, the delivery of the aircraft. So from the flight test center to the delivery of the aircraft to the airline customer. My profession has taken me half the world. And one planet I've just added for this presentation and still counting. So we don't know where I land next. Journey till this point in time is totally, except for my bachelor's degree, nothing I've planned. And that is not to tell you it was by fluke. The only thing which was constant was the passion part on this. Okay, of course, I'll skip this part. This is more like a show, but I don't know whether it plays or not, but it was my spin flight in France only. So you enjoy it, fine. If you don't enjoy it, I'm sorry, I have to do the next slide. This was aerobatic captain. At this point, I have 4G plus on my mic. I'm not able to lift mic. So from 4G or 5G condition to micro G is my transition. That's the point I wanted to make. This. And music I did only for these afternoon sessions usually. Some of the aircraft we have flown, and the one that Sebo is flying is that one now for the eye tracking. Business jets. So 320 knew that you fly between different sectors. So I was based in Airbus Flight Test Center for the 320 new flight testing and type certification of the aircraft, the new engine. This was really my lifetime experience. Also had an opportunity to do the customer acceptance flight on 330. It's really good. It's an excellent experience because you fly for 3 hours to accept the aircraft. So the customer crew will come. You will demonstrate as a test engineer or an observer or the OEM. So you have test pilot on board from the, let's say, this is an Airbus, so Airbus test pilot, engines, the customer crew, their pilots, and you have to demonstrate all system functioning well. And then only the aircraft, it's called a transfer of titles, and you say she's yours from that point on. That's how you transfer the title of the aircraft from one to another. So I wanted to give that background that, look, I was so engrossed in pursuing my career. There was nothing as far as I am concerned, nothing was missing. Now, this opportunity, I saw it 3 years ago, and I started applying for this. I said, why, let's try this also. So this is an exploratory streak that all the humans have. We want to explore. We want to see new things. So now, Spaceflight Institute is the first institute where we are offering the first. Somebody has asked me how to become. Even I did not know how to become a commercial astronaut. I did not know this term, honestly speaking, until 3 years ago. Okay, when I started applying for the missions, for the training, it's the same program about a year, and I will give you the pedagogy of the training. So, what's important in the first phase that we have done in France was about a week and a quarter, and we had a 6 global crew. And I'll tell you the profession first. So India, France, and Brazil. So from France, he's a lieutenant colonel, an army reserve doctor, and he's serving as a flight test engineer. A lady from Brazil, also a NASA ambassador, she's an astrobiologist. Space propulsion, the gentleman did his training in NASA, JPL, on the harvesting the fuel. And the last one, of course, systems engineering and communication, both French. So it was so diversified, and this was the first time you sit in a classroom with totally different backgrounds: biologist, engineer, scientist, like that. And I'm coming right from the operations. Number of institutions involved in the training, and of course, Professor Sevo was also my trainer for the human factors. So thanks to you for passing me. And in the end, of course, we had. As before me, many of you have said, Janvi said, and others, analog missions are there, but this was real mission on survival training. It was true survival training to earn your patch and qualification for survival. To the level 1 training, you need to qualify to be qualified to go to the next phase. I'll give you a very small glimpse of what survival training entailed, and Professor Biswas permitting. First, to mention about what commercial astronaut training entails, what I'm currently engaged in. So phase 1 is what I'm currently engaged right now at Spaceflight Institute. And then you move to the commercial astronaut. So phase 1 is theoretical training plus survival. Phase 2 is preparation, conditioning, coaching. Then the boot camps where you do fly. This is a regular astronaut training that you do on microgravity, on deep sea to simulate the EVA, the extravehicular activities, of course, and if assets are available, then you do the fighters flying as well. Of course, I would have to do that again. Institutions involved right now, that it's a private institution. I just want to prevent any ambiguity on the matter. So Spaceflight Institute is a private institute like any other institute, but supported by ESA, Onora, NES, people, ESA is Supero, like Professor like him and Professor Stefani and number of institutions. So multi-institutional pool of knowledge is used for the training of the astronauts. And these are the real, so phase 2 and phase 3 and long missions, as some of my fellow speakers said, environment training, EVA, and microgravity flights on the 320, 390, 0G flights. You would have heard of 31 parabolas to simulate not only microgravity, so 0G and varying gravity. So you can have moon gravity, Mars gravity, zero gravity from the aircraft. I'll skip that part. Now again, on the diversity. Now phase 2, we are moving with this set of crew. The names are not there, but of course you can identify me, but the rest I will tell you how. This is just to give an idea of the diversity of the members. We have French aerospace engineers, Bolivian PhD mechanical, Botswanan remote sensing, Macedonian material, French again is a military pilot, test pilot actually, flight test engineering, PhD in geochemistry, mathematics, electrical, myself, electric flight test engineering, and astrophysics. So you can see the palette of colors. This was our first course. My own schools, I graduated from Peru and went back to the school for this training. Few things. Although we can say that I did not think about it. Now let me come back to some manifestations part. These were some one-to-one interactions. First was, and these are all interesting. The first one was in 2015 was Jean-Jacques Favier. What is special about Jean-Jacques Favier? He was a biologist, number one. Number two, he is the tallest, now no more, astronaut ever. Because of his Soyuz capsule was modified. You can search that. He's the tallest astronaut ever in the humankind. So that was him, and I was discussing it for 2 hours only how to use the methane, the atmospheric methane, to make the fuel. Because for a deep space missions, you're going to use the fuel. You cannot carry all the fuel along with your spacecraft. So that was first. Of course, Thomas Pesquet, our schoolmate, is from Supero as well, and a celebrity astronaut, 1 year on ISS in 2 missions, and of course his EVA is about 50 hours, 48 hours to be precise. And of course he's worked with our astronauts also, with all the 4 astronauts as they went off. This is the most interesting one. Jean-Francois Clairvoy, 2024. So this was part of our trainings. He was part of our, and he was giving us the astronaut missions perspective. And what I came to know later on was that what he shared was that he was also the coach of Kalpana Chawla. And he sent that message. And Kalpana Chawla is also my college senior from Chandigarh, Cosmic. I'll leave that part because this presentation I prepared for CSR Foundation Day. So I'm just picking up a few slides for this August audience. I'll skip that part. Those ordering when I was in Delft, came to the school. I'll leave this part, skip this part. You can see some familiar faces here. The one on the front row, myself. And yes, this is an interesting. Did you have a chance to project this slide? The experimentation that Dr. Sevolot is doing is it's in the French test pilot school. So they do the sensors and they perform the experiment. And one of them is we used to fly together. That is precisely the reason I put this. So Frederic is currently with the French test pilot school, French flight test center, sorry. And he is performing experiments like this and of course, other military. So a lot of intensive work goes into becoming into developing sensors, into finding out what are the key aspects, both from the physiological point of view, technological point of view that need to be developed. And behind that is a differential equation. Some of the commercial space missions, I don't have an entire slide, but if you see the Chinese, if I remember from what training was imparted, we were given a complete landscape of missions. I cannot throw a number, but if I were to, I would say 1,000, 1,500 astronauts are required as we speak today. For the space station, like China by itself, humongous, their space program is humongous. We cannot, I don't even fathom their magnitude. I don't dare that. So, of course, this was some training, and I'll skip this part. Jean-Francois Clairvoy, huge respect to the gentleman. Impacts of space flight, of course, that is what you were saying. One of the effect, overview effect, which every astronaut feels. I don't know how it feels, but I'm sure Subhanshu Shukla would have felt overview effect when you see the Earth for the first time from there. And it's really, as somebody said, psychologically, it affects you. Some of the schedule analysis, I'll skip this, not this forum. Yes, some very important things. Resources optimization. And as we can see, it's self-explanatory. Astronauts are problem solvers. So you condition your mind as a problem solver, irrespective of the background. It's key takeaway. The zero-G flights are a real picture of zero-G flight, the parabola you do. And by mathematics, of course, you go to the zero-G or you simulate the gravity condition. Okay. And in fact, very soon I'll be getting a real campaign flight done by Jean-Francois Clairvoy as we speak now. In maybe a week from now, should be getting one. So this is just to give you an idea of what kind of training it entails in different assets, different aspects, different instruments, different physiology, psychology. You can imagine you can imagine yourself as a human being in an environment. So every aspect that affects that is part of the training. Honorable Minister said one thing if you remember, when Shubhanshu was launched in June, I think 25th June, before June, I think. And after he returned, he said, look, it was not just a ceremonial voyage. It was scientific crusade. Because idea was to perform number of experiments under microgravity. So Shubhanshu did 7 experiments. One of them was tardigrade. And tardigrade, anybody, any guesses? Apart from not Shreya, she's you also know Yogesh. Anybody else? Perfect. So I think the idea was to find out that how this microorganism, because this, it can survive under the extreme conditions. This can become a new, it can redefine the crew physiology, our equipment's life support system for the deep space missions. And hence this becomes a subject matter for everybody. It's not us. It's everybody's doing it. Just a glimpse. I had no clue about it. Yoga, I never did. I did sports for 35 years. Yoga, I never did. But aerial yoga, we were hanging, and this is one of the sites. So this part of training that under a microgravity condition, that of course it was just about one of the days, but this just to give you a glimpse of what it would entail in the backdrop. Some of the sites, I did not enjoy this site at all for those 5 days when I was undergoing survival training. In fact, Seva knows what I felt. I felt like dying. But when I saw the picture now, I cannot believe that such is a beautiful landscape. We were actually on in Pyrenees Mountains for about under -5 degrees Celsius, totally wet condition. And as analog astronaut also said, your psychology changes. And one of the words that I would like to share, borrowed from Jean-Francois Clairvoy, mental viscosity. And when this talk is over, and if you can take back this term home, this defines the psychology of an astronaut. Confinements, isolation, long travels. Like if you see, moon can be 4-5 months of travel, and you're just traveling in an enclosed space with just 2 people who you don't like at all. Or you may like it, it's up to you. But let's say the worst case scenario. And then to Mars, going to be another 8 months to 9. I don't know. So as simple as why I put this also, as simple as I think Professor Robinson, Peter has mentioned this, that today we are losing the human skill. you said in your talk. And that is so very true during survival training. We felt so much of that because I did my survival training during my young days. But we used to read the map and very easy for us. Today, we were only allowed with this map, as you can see. And it was so mentally exhausting and consuming because you have to actually do a 3D map with this, all the gradings and everything, only with the map. In fact, when my turn came, I lost. The entire team lost in jungle. Okay. So, rightly said, a lot of human skill has to evolve. Human has to evolve. Those were so fetching water, creating fire. Creating fire, if I talk, I think it will take another hour for me, but I know he's watching me and I don't want to talk about it. But creating fire was the experience. Because last day we were not given food, there was no food, nothing. Fetch your water, boil it, drink it, do what you want. Pitch dark. This is wet, that is wet. Everywhere you are just right under, no blanket, nothing is allowed. And this is key with me. You can see. Some training on the way. Leave it for that. Because this is done for the various audience. I've done talks at National Science Day also, and when I had enough time to talk about it, so I explained things why each picture was put like the way it is put here. Skip that part. The patch that you earn. Since I have promised physiology part, I'll just take 5 minutes if you allow me on physiology. Already, I think few points have been mentioned. And Dr. Anpavi, like we have Institute of Aerospace Medicine, IAM, likewise is MEDES, and also so from MEDES, and she is a ESA flight surgeon. So number of astronauts she qualified in ESA, qualified, then post missions also a lot of analysis done. That data is very confidential. Actually, that is pure gold. The data that comes out. And as we are building as a country now, we have the data coming from financial. So let's see. I'll not go through the details. I'll first give the courtesy. This, since I mentioned that this I was preparing for CSI Foundation Day for the Honorable under Ministry of Science and Technology as a speaker. I just want 3 takeaways from these slides. So there are 3 things that you see that physiological changes. One is microgravity. Everybody knows. Nothing. Not going to tell you anything special. So there are a number of things. Bone density is one of them. I'll not go through the details for the paucity of time, but maybe next time we can do a special session for that. And these slides come directly from Dr. Brigitte Godard. She was the ESA flight surgeon, rather head of ESA for about 12 years. So all the astronauts that I showed you the picture, she was the one qualified who authorized them to be an astronaut. And she sent me the slides. So thanks to Dr. Biswas to give me this opportunity to showcase these slides here. So microgravity is one number of, in fact, the takeaway is entire system, neuromuscular, bones, everything, your entire system gets affected. I have not experienced it yet, except for the mental viscosity that I said during survival. And you also lose the taste. A lot of things. Leave that one for the French. Not like it for now. Radiations, next one, of course. So somebody touched upon radiation part. I don't recall the context, but radiations is very, very critical part because when you are in the deep space missions, you're going to have radiation is going to affect you completely, holistically. So there are research areas on radiations. I'll leave that. A lot of data, a lot of information. I'll leave it for sources, radiation, effect on human body. This was for me. It was very interesting experience because what was interesting here was we always say Delhi time, UK time, this time, that time. First time it's a Mars operating center in French Space Agency. So as a part of a visit, we were taken there. You see Earth time and Mars time. really caught your attention? Because there is someone's. So we are actually monitoring the land and the atmosphere there, and it's and you have to think like this. You have to put yourself as a human being into that perspective, a speck of dust in this universe, and then you start to become an astronaut or start think like an astronaut. I will not touch upon that. Janvi is done, but yes, Shreya, myself, we are on the Protoplanet Expert Network, which is doing the Hope and Spacebound in Ladakh. In fact, I was supposed to be there, but that time I was traveling in France doing some training. It was in July, right? July, and in fact, she could not join. That apart, I'll not. What inspires me today is this, honestly, because there are so many unanswered questions on our minds.